way that some of us might have dressed before the Europeans came. And they did have weaving also, as well as wearing the buckskin. And they wove hemp fibers. You know, the stalk of the hemp has some long fibers in it, and they wove those fibers to make clothing and mats and different kinds of things that they needed. And this woman here has on the turtle shell shackles. Now those are worn by the women during the dance. The stalk dance is the sacred dance, and that's the way that the traditional people would praise God, and they would pray, and as they go around the fire, dance around the fire, they would sing the songs. The men sing the songs, the women keep the rhythm, and that is their way of singing the praises of God. The smoke from the fire carries the praises up to God. So we call him Unetlanahi. That's our term for it. Actually means Unetlanahi. Unetlanahi. You hear your tongue kind of slip up. Unetlanahi. Yeah, and that actually literally means the giver of all things. So, as those Europeans came in, some of the Cherokees or Keetoowahs, they began to take on the European ways through intermarriage and leaving behind the traditional religion and the traditional family structures and the beliefs that they had. And some of them though wanted to remain traditional, and they kept their ways, their family structures, their religion. They wanted to hold on to that. And so in 1809, they finally went to the U.S. government and told them that they would just move farther west because there would be too much conflict and too much influence from the Europeans. And so in 1817, the Keetoowahs got a treaty with the U.S. government that allowed them to go into the Arkansas Territory, which had just recently been purchased from France. Of course, we know there were already Indians there in that area. The land actually belonged to them, but the European powers never gave any credence to the ownership of the Indians, and so they just came in and claimed it for themselves. France owned it, and Spain was in there for a while, and then it went to the U.S. And so when we got, if you want to look at this map right here, this is the Arkansas Territory here, and this is the reservation that were given in the Arkansas Territory by the Treaty of 1817. And then by 1828, the white settlers began to become more and more numerous the whole time. And by that time, there began to be a lot of conflict with the Keetoowahs who were living here in this area. And so in 1828, President Monroe said, well, you're going to either move over into Indian Territory, which is over here, or we'll take your land away from you anyway. So they, in the late 1800s, and that's when they had the land runs, and they had taken the land from the Indians and given the Indians a parcel of land, each Indian a parcel of land. If you were a miner, you got 60 acres. My grandmother got 60 acres. She was only like 3 years old when they had the allotment, is what they called it, the allotment of land. And then if you're head of household, you got 160 acres. So the Indians were allotted that land, also you got 160 acres. So the Indians were allotted that land, and then all of the residual land that was left over, white people were given that. And so they were moved in. It became like a checkerboard effect. And then after statehood, there were no reservations in Oklahoma, and there's still no reservations in Oklahoma.
Looking back then and looking at today, what can we learn from all of this?
What can we learn? Well, I know that as far from the Indian perspective in my family, they were very upset. That was a very tragic time for them, and especially the Keetoowahs, because they were the more traditional and they tried to hold on to their traditional ways. And they could see then that the merging of, those two civilizations, I guess you'd say, the natives and the white Europeans. And I think that the government needs to be more aware of what they do to people, the effect they have on people. You know, what they did to the Native people, what they did to the black people. You know, they need to be more aware that what they do, it tremendously affects people who are down below them. And they don't. They
Thank
don't.
you.